New Zealand. I'm very proud to welcome you here for the SuperBooth because, you know, I'm sitting in Berlin and Berlin is here and we're making the SuperBooth as an event and New Zealand is exactly there. And I like the idea a lot that you are hanging down from the earth, holding yourself like, oh! Probably you see it from the other way around, I don't mind. Yeah. But welcome to SuperBooth, and now we start talking about what we're doing here. My name is Andreas Schneider. I'm a musician because I used to be playing in a band where I was the keyboard player, and then I did this and that and everything where you think you are getting serious to be a professional adult and you're doing a job. And then I met a guy who was inventing drum machines, and he was unable to explain his drum machine to those people who should buy it. So in the end, I took over his desk to say, give me your phone and I will answer the questions, and I sold them to people. And from there it started that I had to think about how to promote a drum machine, how to promote a good tool for techno music. In 2001 I started an exhibition on the trade show in Frankfurt, what was those days the biggest trade show in the world for musical instruments, and I booked a booth and said, okay, my 3 buddies, give me your units. I put them there and put your stuff here, and then it grew from the little freaky stand where you got a champagne with absinthe and you sit there and you fly out afterwards, and nothing else, a little bit of techno music from my promotional wagon, and then one after the other popped up and said, we want to be with you and the family. Can we stand next to you? Can we put our products next to your stand? Because we was crowded in every kind of a crisis that the financial world had. People was then, okay, nobody was buying computers, but then they popped up in our stand because we had the highest knob per square meter factor on this boring trade show. And to be honest, it's still the same. It's about living, having fun, playing knobs, having a good time with each other, respecting each other. Then in 2015, I was there in Frankfurt again. We always had a booth with a caipirinha bar or something to drink because we wanted to be in a good mood, and we was meeting friends. And then my old buddy from my hometown who used to play the guitar in my teenager band popped up. He's a big financial guy. He knows how to get your paperwork from the horizontal in the vertical thing, you know, I can't. And then he was popping up and said, hey Schneider, we have to make a band again. I want to play music again. I said, hey, fuck making bands, you know, I don't have time to play my shitty keyboard again. Look here how we make music. And if you want to do something with me, let's make a company. And then I could force him to say, to be my partner in founding the SuperBooth Berlin GmbH. And he's our financial director, and he's a genius on that. And together we really started this to get the trade show on their own feet to start the SuperBooth Berlin. And that happened then with the first time in the Berlin Funkhaus, a quite prominent studio location in 2016. And it was very chaotic. You can ask some of these gray hair elderly gentlemen who was all there, and including me. They was all with us, and we got together and we formed something new. And then we found out that the owner of the Funkhaus is not our friend, so we moved over here, and this was the biggest goal we ever made, to go to the FEZ. What's originally made, it's a designed building from the GDR times that was made from the GDR to educate young adults into their professions, about what's life, what's the world of the adults. And there's laboratories, stages, there's a swimming pool, there's rooms for every need, and this is what we needed, where we say, okay, if you want to make soldering things, you go to the soldering department. If we want to make educational things, you rent a room and educate the people who are going to it. And we have stages, we have learning things, as you see. It's just wonderful. It became bigger and bigger, and 2019 was the biggest event where we had in the lanes in the building one exhibitor next to each other. We had 230 exhibitors in 2019 and we was just in the building because we thought, okay, it must be in the building. We didn't even have the idea to go outdoors. And then 2020 was arranged and everything, and it was perfectly pre-arranged, and it could have happened, but then Corona happened. And we had to cancel the event. And first thing from my position was, okay, we have to rethink it. And the first was to make it a video version. And all booked artists and all exhibitors was asked to send us your videos, and my admin buddy was forced to put these videos to streams, okay, of, I don't know, 3 days, 4 hours stream. And everybody was at home in Europe, you know, we was sent home, and the whole life was interrupted, nothing. I was sitting in, you know, we could make it to buy a house in the countryside, and I have a little stage in there. That's why I bought it. It was an earlier pub. And on my stage, I prepared everything with my wife, who's making all the video stuff for the SuperBooth. I said, okay, we'll make the moderation. And then we recorded plenty of moderations in the countryside with nobody, no audience, with my neighbor sitting in a defective boat, and weird stuff on the street, no cars, and in the hall, jumping from the stage, old synthesizers, whatever. We made weird stuff, at least giving the input we had from the manufacturers further into the web as a big thing, as a bigger thing than just, and giving hope, you know, just giving hope. Life goes ahead, you know, it's not, Corona is not the end of the world. And then what about making with the SuperBooth? SuperBooth was bankrupt anyway, but how to go ahead? And I said we just have to make it again, but we have to make it different. We have to go outdoors, because then we wear masks, we have one-ways through the building, and we are standing apart from each other, but we still can meet each other, because we need people to survive. We need to see each other. And I said, let's go outdoors. Let's go into the forest. We have this wonderful surrounding. You are here, so you see there's birds in the trees, and there's enough place to go outdoors, to talk between two trees, to listen to music between the trees and the nature. Then we started to hire tents and outdoor buildings, and to make it a bit more light, and to have one exhibitor here and a table with a flower on it there, and then the next exhibitor there. And then we made 21, a 21 edition with not even half of the audience, not even half of the exhibitors, but 3 times the places we had to pay. So that was the most expensive party of my life. But we was happy, and at least 3 media people was coming up to me and say, Herr Schneider, you have to promise me into the camera that you do it always like this from now on. I said, yes, we do. Okay, and that was in the end the reason to become really bankrupt, you know. And 22 was then last year's edition, where we invited guitar makers, where we thought, okay, we have to think, we have to go further, we have to think, open the horizon also for related business. We're musicians, you know. In the end, we're playing in a band, even if we don't know how it works. We're playing with the other disciplines. It's about music, and it's not about just synthesizers, just modulars, or just this. It's about making music. In the end, everybody is invited who's willing to make good music. My favorite event was, over all the years through, Gammon's performance, because it's about the next generation and seeing kids understanding our stupid idea of making electronic music in a new way, hopefully. So what we've seen today was more like, okay, Gammon is leading it to a certain level, saying, okay, here's the bass drum, here's the drums, and there's much more possibilities to use electronic musical instruments for experimental and new ways of music. But in the end, it's just a first step, and the first step must be done to open a door. At the SuperBooth, to this point where we are now, and getting it outdoors after the Corona, and having both worlds, like indoors and outdoors, having a center where you can go into the building, but in the end going out into the nature, listening to music, makes it a natural experience where you can combine your music with the surrounding in a much better way. And the core of the event is not just listening to music and talking about electronic musical instruments, it's also about meeting people. As you just saw, we're meeting people, and we're a big number of friendships and relations worldwide, where it's something like a worldwide band. It's a group of people where you see a face where you say, hey, you've been there 20 years ago, no? Or something like that. And then you see each other again, and then you exchange how things go on. How is it in your country? How is it in mine? There's people from Japan, from China, from India coming here. It's always just a handful, but this is our reps into these countries. Like you come from New Zealand. There's people who are making it, collecting our experience, bringing it somewhere else, making something in their country that could be totally different, but we're somehow married with each other, and we're living on this one world and have to be connected in a personal way. I don't think it should become even too much more bigger what we do over here. That's why I would be happy if you do New Zealand with the New Zealand people and we talk about each other, or whoever is doing it, and the Americans go to the NAMM and a few of them come over to tell me about what's going on in the NAMM, and a few of us go over tell about what's going on in Europe, and a few of us are coming from India and from, we have to connect with each other. There's plenty of countries where they have really nothing from all this, where they don't need it because they have other musical inspirations, and we need to interact with each other. That's the goal of forming a band. We need to form the worldwide band of making music, because as long as we make music with each other, we don't even have to talk anymore, but we're friends.